In the news now is an article that's very important, and this news has been going around for some time. I've spoken about it extensively in my meetings, that the Chief Justice of the Concord, Mogoeng, that his term in office will come to an end at some stage. And now it's been made public that that will be towards the end of 2021. And this is a very important thing to understand. Firstly, it's important to understand the position of the Chief Justice, what it means to be the Chief Justice. And just plain and simply, he is the person that swears in the President into his position. So he has the most senior position in the country within the legal system. And because of this, there shouldn't be any political interference in the appointment of this person. But we have a very big problem in our constitution. Like I've said before, there's many Trojan horses built into our constitution, and one of them is the fact that the president decides who the next Chief Justice will be. And this is a huge problem considering Cyril Ramaphosa is batting for the wrong team. So this article in the Daily Maverick says the process for speaks about the process for appointing a new Chief Justice. And this is what I want to focus on. And I have a picture here, and as usual, you can follow the link and go and read the article yourself. The link will be in the description below the video. But they have a picture of the Chief Justice robes with the head removed, not knowing who's going to be put in that position. And in the heading here it says, as we noted in our previous article, the tenure of current Chief Justice Mogoeng comes to an end in late 2021. It will therefore soon be time to start considering who should be appointed as the next Chief Justice. And then the article speaks about who considers this. Judges Matter has considered many aspects of the importance of the role of the Chief Justice, also found in another article in the Daily Maverick, and the numerous qualities that a potential Chief Justice should possess. Now, I wish that this would be a discussion around politicians, MPs, ministers, councillors, MPLs. Why is this not being discussed? The qualities that these people should have. There has to be a process under a system, under our constitution, where the people elected into office needs to have certain qualities at least before they are considered. This should be a minimum, but it's not there. But if you come to our follow-up meetings, you will see that there are plans to put things like that in place, and you should listen to those plans and really consider getting on board and getting this change to happen. In this article, we discuss the process that is followed when a new Chief Justice is appointed, and then the role of the President and the JSC in the appointment of the Chief Justice. And this is where it becomes very worrying and less democratic. For the appointment of most judges, the Judicial Service Commission, the JSC, plays a central role. Okay? Those are most judges. All judicial appointments other than the Constitutional Court judges and the leadership of the Constitutional Court and Supreme Court of Appeal are made by the President on the advice of the JSC. So the President makes the appointments, but he makes it on the advice of the Judicial Service Commission. In practice, the President is bound by the JSC's advice, and so the JSC effectively makes the appointments to the superior courts. Those are just the appointments of the judges to all the superior courts, okay? But the Chief Justice is different, and this is the problem. For appointments to the Constitutional Court, the President appoints judges from a list of candidates provided by the JSC. So the JSC gives candidates that they consider are good to choose. And this is significant. This list must contain 3 names more than the number of vacancies. So if there is 1 vacancy, 4 names must be sent to the President. If there are 2 vacancies, 5 names must be sent to the President, and so on. The process for appointing the Chief Justice differs significantly and gives the President much more power than is the case in the appointment of other judges. Section 174/3 of the Constitution provides that the President, as head of the national executive, which means with the support of Cabinet, after consulting with the JSE and leaders of political parties represented in the National Assembly, appoints the Chief Justice. So the President appoints the Chief Justice of the Concord. And I've mentioned this before in my meetings and raised this as a huge concern. The process for appointing the Deputy Chief Justice is the same, while the appointment of the President and Deputy President of the Supreme Court of Appeal is largely similar, although the President is only required to consult with the JSE and not with the leaders of political parties. So he must consult with the JSE. He doesn't have to consult with the leader of political parties. He can basically do what he wants. This is the bottom line. In practice, the JSE's role in this consultation has been to conduct a public interview with the candidate, as is done for all other potential judicial appointments, and then to advise the President on the candidate's suitability for the position. But people, this is the Concord. This is a very serious position. In fact, probably the most serious position in the country. The President thus has far more discretion in choosing the Chief Justice than with other judges. And this is significant. This is a flaw in our Constitution. And this is why we need to rewrite our Constitution. While the President is required to consult, and that consultation must be a meaningful one where the views expressed are seriously taken into account, the President is not bound to follow the input received from other political leaders or even from the JSE itself. Now, this is the key. The President can appoint any Newell or a stooge that's already on the Concord bench to that position. And I've told you before that this is my fear, that there's two people in particular that are problematic that could be appointed as the Chief Justice, and I fear that that's exactly what Cyril Ramaphosa will do. A review of previous Chief Justice appointments. This process might seem to be simple and straightforward, and yet the two most recent appointments of a Chief Justice, that of Chief Justice Nkobo in 2009 and Chief Justice Mogoeng in 2011, have both attracted controversy in respect of the procedure followed. In 2009, the then President Jacob Zuma stated that he had appointed Justice Nkobo as Chief Justice before having consulted political leaders or the JSE. This was clearly not the correct procedure, and the Presidency subsequently clarified that the required consultations were to take place prior to a formal decision being made, which means the President can actually do what he wants. When Chief Justice Mogoeng was put forward as candidate for Chief Justice in 2011, debate arose as to whether or not more than one candidate could be considered. There was mixed historical precedent on this point. Justice Langa, Nkobo and Mogoeng had all been the only candidates considered for appointment as Chief Justice. However, in 1996, nominations were called for and two judges were nominated and interviewed for the position, Ismail Mohammed and Hendrik van Heerden. Justice Mohammed was then appointed as the Chief Justice. In his recently published memoir, All Rise, former Deputy Chief Justice Moseneke recounts how in 2011 he had been approached to be nominated as an alternative candidate to Justice Mogoeng. Justice Moseneke declined the invitation, commenting that the law is clear in giving the President the right and prerogative to appoint the Chief Justice, and that it would have been as silly as it would have been futile to put up nominations other than the President's. So, if you have a President appointed by a party that is an absolute rogue, he can appoint a rogue Chief Justice and our entire country can go down the toilet. Because that Chief Justice has a right, with a bench, to declare a state of emergency in the country. And we know that Mogoeng stopped that from happening with this coronavirus outbreak. And this is very significant. So, you can go and read the rest of the article. It's quite informative and it's important for you to have this information. So follow the link in the description below the video. Thank you for watching this channel. Thank you for coming to my meetings. For those of you who have not, please come to my meetings and ask me to discuss the Chief Justice's appointment. I can put a lot more detail out in my meeting where I can answer your questions. Just know that we will be getting a new Chief Justice in next year. And the question is, has Mogoeng done enough to carry us through before we can change this governance system completely and actually get to elect our leaders directly? And I believe he's done enough. It is sad that he must go, but we need to act fast on the ground and build an organization that can resist anything being thrown at us from the New World Order stooges out there, including our President Cyril Ramaphosa. We can't trust him as far as we can see him unless he changes his mind. This is possible. It's happened to many presidents before, and I hope that something clicks in his mind and he realizes that he needs to kick the people to touch that fed him when he was younger, that gave him a lot of money and wealth, and the people that fermented his political career. So this is going to be a tough one, Cyril, but you're going to have to do it. And if you really want to prove that you care for the country, you need to select a Chief Justice that will maintain the integrity of the future of South Africa as an independent nation and not bow down to the World Health Organization, UNESCO, UNICEF, or any of these United Nations auxiliaries that have broken down this country during this time under the name of a pandemic that should never be declared a pandemic to begin with, because a loss of life did not justify the measures taken at all. And I have the evidence to prove that, and so do many other people. We are not stupid. We won't fall for all your nonsense, and we're building up a large group of people that will stand up to resist this tyranny. I thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. If you have not yet, please subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications on new videos. Till the next video.